Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again. Welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man you got to keep out of direct sunlight, Jacob.
Ray, not even rare. Okay, kind of weird, but okay. All right. Well, I thank you. I'd like to introduce our co-host, a man who just needs a vacation every once in a while. Welcome, Drew.
Well, with COVID-19 and all, it's kind of made things stressful at work. So,
agreed.
We all could use a vacation. Unfortunately,
from the vacation.
From what vacation? I haven't stopped going to work.
I agree. We're both essential workers.
Yeah.
Very blessed in that way.
We're thankful we're essential workers, but at the same time, I need a day off.
Yes, amen to that. I just want to use my vacation hours for something.
Yeah, I bet you do before
please,
they disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Please hire somebody, please.
Anyway, how are you doing, Jacob?
Man, I am doing spectacular. Yesterday, I went and helped a friend out who's actually in the chat.
Yes.
With the project. Spent 5 hours working on One Piece. But eventually, that'll get around.
That's pretty good considering One Piece is like over 1,000 episodes by now.
Yeah, hopefully it's not 1,000 pieces.
Yes.
Because that would be very interesting.
Sorry, you mean one piece of the artwork,
yes.
not the anime One Piece.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. That is what I have been doing. What have you been doing?
Well, outside of getting my brand new computer and getting that going and all the headache that was involved with that for one reason or another, let's see. I have, choir rehearsals have started back up for the Christmas show. So that's been fun getting back into rehearsing and annoying my coworkers with Christmas music 3 months before it's time.
Yeah.
But it's, that's a thing. So, yeah.
I think one thing I want to kind of quasi-announce, I'm starting to work on the YouTube channel I'm going to work on.
Mm-hmm.
It's art, it's drawing art, toys, and oils. That's what I'm going to do with this.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is your essential first thing you need done yet? The thing we have to, the thing that for a certain reason we had to start doing it over here for our live stream.
Oh, I'm going to work on that the first thing.
Yeah, let's say because you need the internet before you can get anything. Before you can do much else.
Well, it's always good to get the equipment first and be gathering equipment for it. And then, get the things will allow you to broadcast.
Yes, like a computer and a camera.
Yeah,
you'll need those. Although you've got a computer, I don't know how well it'll work for what you're doing.
I'm probably going to update you more of along those lines, but not as.
Don't spend the money I did. I'd spend a little bit of money for me for fun.
Yeah. I'm not going to go that far, but probably gather a few friends and family. Like, hey, help me build this thing.
Yes, get me one for $500. Yeah, and then just get you a cheap webcam like I've got.
Might work with the webcam. I'm probably going to use because a lot of people actually use their phone.
Yeah,
and I'll probably go that route at first, and then eventually get around to buying a nice camera for the setup, and plus the camera ring, which you normally buy for.
Yes, that I didn't pay the money for.
Yeah.
Because I'm literally using a Walmart lamp.
Yes,
for our primary lighting source.
It works. Believe me. If we didn't have that lamp, it'd be kind of dark in here,
especially in this corner.
Yes,
there is the only light is the two bar lights, and those are not very bright bulbs.
No,
they're providing fill light right now.
Yeah, it's the one downside of these apartments.
Yes,
minus you can't have pets that over $500 and another.
Either way,
I would love to have a Great Dane, but you can't fit that dog in an apartment.
Yeah, and I think that one is not that breed, but I think it's like over 50 pounds, I think is the rule.
Yeah, agreed.
So that would definitely be out,
Yeah.
considering that thing could sit on you and crush your legs.
That is true.
Anyway, so what have you been watching? Besides, actually, we did not watch Captain Idiot this week.
No, we didn't watch Captain
We
Idiot.
watched, what did we watch over there at Chase's? We started that movie, The Lensman.
Yeah, Lensman. Yeah, that's right. That was
interesting. It's kind of like it's a bit of a Star Wars inspired. I won't say Star Wars knockoff, but
yeah.
There was parts like, oh look, there's R2. No wait, he just blew up. That's got to be the red one. It's like, oh look, that guy's going off to the academy. Oh look, there's Toshi's station. I bet he goes there for power converters. The ship just crashes into the city.
Yeah, true. I would say it's very much an artistic because it's very early CG. There is
some early CG. There is some. I mean, it's like if you've ever seen the early Pixar shorts.
Yeah.
That level CG.
Agreed.
Genesis Planet presentation from Star Trek II level CG.
Yes. Amazing movie. Go watch it.
Star Trek II is definitely an amazing movie.
Yes. Other than that.
But anyway, what else have you watched?
What else have I watched? I watched Chase might have helped me out because I was for some reason getting YouTube confused all the time.
You get me and Chase confused?
Apparently, because I always say Drew Chase.
Okay, Chase is the one who talks all the time. and I'm the fat guy.
No, but when I was over there helping Chase, he'd just be like, "Hey, you want to watch some random anime?" It's okay, sure. So he popped on one. It was, I believe, it was called His and Hers. Help me out, Chase, if you can. His and Hers High School something. I'm not for sure.
Wait, was this wasn't like the Misfit of Magic High or something like that?
No, it had nothing to do with magic.
You're so funny, Chase. And that's 2 podcasts. Thank you very much.
But honestly, I can't recall the entire title, but basically it's this girl who is so vain of like, she has to be popular. She has to be this and this and this. She has to be, everyone has to admire her, adore her, and she wants all the attention.
Psyche K.
No, it's not Psyche K.
So you mean she doesn't literally glow?
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
But she's put on this persona that she does everything perfect, but obviously,
like in Psyche K.
Yeah, in a way. But then it turns into this the class rep who like is a guy who just like everybody loves and adores, and she hates him for that, and she wants to destroy his life, and it turns into like a romantic comedy.
Chase says that it's his and her circumstances.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was interesting. The first episode was like, okay, this is funny. The second one gets more into the romantic like angles, and it's like, okay, total shift, tone shift, but okay, interesting.
All right,
that is all I watched basically.
I mean, we also both we also both watched Iron Man and Man of Steel for the Movie of the Week podcast.
True.
More on that when those episodes come out.
Agreed.
I have also been watching or going back through My Hero Academia season 1.
Yes.
I'm like 2 episodes from the end of season 1.
Really?
In which then I will let you borrow it.
Okay.
While I wait for season 2.
Okay.
I'm trying to get through seasons 1 and 2 before we come back, because if you remember on the dice, we do have My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, which takes place between seasons 2 and 3.
Agreed.
So that's why I'm trying to aim for right there. Also, what else have I been watching? Really, that's about it. I mean, outside of what that's the crazy thing with doing 2 podcasts and everything. It's like you don't have much time to watch just for your own sake.
No,
In a lot of cases.
You're
I haven't
watching
even
for everything else.
I haven't even watched the second episode of Star Trek Discovery yet.
Ah.
Which, considering I'm about to have both Star Trek Discovery and The Mandalorian on there at the same time. Yeah. I'm going to be in a little bit of sci-fi heaven over here.
A little bit.
And then a little bit of sci-fi heck online because people won't shut up about stupid things.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Awesome.
So, what do we have in the news?
All right. So, news-wise, this is kind of a new thing for me. Looking through animationmagazine.com, which is primarily where I get my news.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really find anything really relevant. Like, yeah, you got developments of TV shows going on, what have you, but no movies. So I found one, and it was so obscure I had to go look it up. It's called Dragon Keeper.
I saw you post that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you want more information about that, go to the Facebook page and go check it out. It's in pre-production right now. It kind of looks like a knockoff of Raya and the Last Dragon from Disney. It's got an interesting premise. I'll let you guys go read that if you want. But other than that, it's news-wise, it's kind of slow. Unless you've got something.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
So I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free section of our review of the quote-unquote live-action Scooby-Doo movie.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember watching this when it was in theaters.
Yes.
Did not watch the sequel in theaters. And I can tell you right now, the movie, when I originally watched it, did not thrill me.
Okay.
I wasn't a big fan of this movie when I left the theater. I had gone into it kind of expecting, okay, cool, they're going to do a mystery movie based on Scooby-Doo, and it'd be live action. This could be good. And I had some issues with it coming out of it. So when the sequel was coming out, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to go watch this one.
Yeah.
And then I just had not watched it. I think I take it back. There was one time I did watch this movie again.
Okay.
Of all places, it was in health class in high school. Because it was the end of the semester and we pretty much did everything. And health class is not exactly something that they really, by the end of the semester, it's not, there's not much to do anymore.
No, it's not.
It's a requirement, but it's still. So yeah, I remember watching it there, and I haven't watched it since then. Mm-hmm. And so I had virtually no expectation going into this movie.
Okay.
Other than remembering I didn't like the first couple of viewings I saw.
Okay.
This viewing hit me a little better.
Okay.
Maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe I'm just more open to the goofiness of this one. Mm-hmm. And there is still some issues that we'll bring up later on.
Agreed.
But all in all, while I do not consider this the best Scooby-Doo movie by a large margin, I don't hate it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that's not exactly a glowing praise, but it's a thing.
My first experience, like yourself, I watched it in theaters. I went with a how to describe that relationship? Me and a lady friend of mine, back from high school. Hi, Sherry. Went and saw it together. We both thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun because I remember her just enjoying it, talking about it at the very end of the film, and me enjoying it so much when the movie was released on DVD before Blu-ray. We were both at Walmart at the exact same time. And I come out there and be like, hey, what are you looking for? Be like, oh, I'm going to buy Scooby-Doo. It's like, great, let's go buy it. So, I have very fond memories of, I wouldn't really call it it was friends really getting to know each other, I guess. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I have very fond nostalgic memories of this film. it's one of those movies I go back to every year and watch. And there are some great performances in this film.
Yeah.
A lot of really good animation in some cases. Not so much. We'll get
in others.
Yeah, in others. But other than that, I love this movie. I love it. There's just like you said, nostalgia and the fact to be like, this is where I got my Scooby-Doo voice.
Right.
And
well, and this is also the movie that gives us Matthew Lillard,
yes,
who is the voice of Shaggy for a long period of time.
Yes.
And ironically, also are the voice of Scooby-Doo that we had for a long period of time.
Yeah. Agreed. So other than that, I enjoy this movie. I have fun, nostalgic feelings that I watch every year. And I can't get enough of this film. I enjoy it. And now, granted, I have to go in and do negatives on it, which there are negatives. But
oh yes, there are negatives.
Yeah. So yeah, my
if you don't have anything, I will take care of it.
Okay, I got you. All right. So yeah, that is the non-spoiler free section. Non-spoiler free section. That's right.
That's the spoiler-free review. The non-spoiler review, anyway.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah. I might leave that in. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess join us on the other side as we get into our full spoiler-filled review of the movie Scooby-Doo.
Ruh-roh, Reggie. Rubble Grumman. Ruh-roh. All right, Scoob, let's go. Ray, I gotta do something real quick. Hold on. Ray. Wrong? Okay. This progress is a part of Christian Reek Central Network. And wrong. Hey, Scoob, what are you doing, man? I don't know. I'm supposed to be reading an ad. All right, hold on. Give me it. Okay. All right. This podcast is part of the Christian Geek Central Network at ChristianGeekCentral.com.
There you can find a collection of blogs and podcasts working together to bring you some of the best content on the web for Christian geeks, such as the Retro Rewind podcast. Join Francisco Ruiz, Paul the Master Interrupter Powers, and a special guest every week as they discuss movies and video games from 15 or more years ago, rating them either classic, nostalgic, or tragic. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Scooby-Doo. Listener discretion is advised. Scooby-Doo was directed by Raha Gosnell, who also did both the live-action Smurfs movies and Home Alone 3. Explains a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
It was written by Greg Titley, who also wrote Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, and he also wrote episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
It was also written by none other than James Gunn, the writer of both Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and the upcoming movie The Suicide Squad. And it was also based on the Scooby-Doo characters created by William Hanna and Joseph Barbero way back in the 60s.
Yeah.
The cast includes playing Freddie Prinze Jr. Mm-hmm. In Star Wars Rebels, he plays Kanan Jarrus. Daphne is played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. She is, of course, Buffy Summers in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And she also plays the seventh sister in Star Wars Rebels. Mm-hmm. Shaggy was played by Matthew Lillard. And in The Descendants, he played Brian Spear, along with playing Shaggy quite a number of times after this. Velma was played by Linda Cardinelli. She was Laura Barton in Avengers Age of Ultron. Hawkeye's wife.
Yeah.
And she's also Wendy Corduroy in Gravity Falls. Scooby was played by Neil Fanning. He continued playing Scooby for quite a number of the movies.
Yeah.
And he played nothing else.
Bro.
But at least he had a good career going there for a while. Mondavarius was played by Rowan Atkinson, who is most famous for playing Mr. Bean. He's also Zazu in the original The Lion King.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Mary Jane was played by Isla Fisher. Mm-hmm. She played a character named Tooth in Rise of the Guardians, which, considering I have not seen the movie, I don't know if that's the Tooth Fairy or one of the Tooth Fairy's minions.
Huh.
We need to watch that one probably.
No, which movie is that again?
Rise of the Guardians. It's a DreamWorks film.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it.
It's the one with, I haven't watched it, so I don't know who the character of Tooth is. Yeah. But I could be the Tooth Fairy. I don't know. Okay, I wasn't sure. Also in the movie Rango, she played Beans. Rango. Rango. The one with about the lizard, played by Johnny Depp.
Okay. I thought it was Ringo.
No, it's Rango. Rango.
Okay, Rango. Okay.
Because it's supposed to be like Django.
Yeah, but Rango.
But it's Rango.
Okay.
The Voodoo Maestro was played by Miguel A. Nunez Jr. He was also played DJ in the Street Fighter movie. The original Street Fighter movie.
Yeah, I remember
that. Nagu Twana, which I'm fairly certain I just mispronounced, was played by Stephen Grives. He was Dr. Moore in A Nightmare on Elm Street. And in Beastmaster, he played a character named King Zad.
Yep.
Brad was played by Kristen Schmidt. And I'm still not sure. Anyway, he was also Buddy Holly in Nightmares and Dreamscapes, a TNT miniseries based on Stephen King stories.
Oh, interesting.
It's going to come back up. That's why I'm bringing that up.
Okay.
Old Man Smithers was played by Nicholas Hope.
Yeah.
He played Nigel in Random and Wacky. I have no idea what that is.
Wow. Okay.
Also, I just lost her name. Pamela Anderson.
Oh yeah,
Pamela Anderson has a cameo at the beginning of the movie as Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
And she, of course, was the original Tool Girl on Home Improvement. Mm-hmm. And she, of course, she was pretty much the reason people watched Baywatch.
Yeah, and she had the movie called Barbed Wire.
Yes, which I heard was pretty bad. Scrappy Doo was played by Scott Innes, and believe it or not, in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, he was Scooby-Doo.
Right? Hold on. Who voiced him?
Scott Innes.
Scott Innes voiced Scrappy.
Yes.
And then in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island?
He was Scooby.
And
like a couple other Scooby-Doo movies, he was Scooby.
Wow.
Kind of a weird thing, but
just a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Scrappy Rex, his demon form, was played by J.P. Manow. He played Congressman Clark in the television show Veep.
Right.
Melvin Dew was played by Martin Broom. He was Ratman number 3 in Nightmares and Dreamscapes.
Okay.
And for our Kingdom Hearts connections, we have 3.
Okay.
Frank Welker,
of course,
was Creatures in this movie. Mm-hmm. He was also in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. He played Abu, uncredited.
Yeah.
Probably because it was all archive audio.
Possibly.
But then, of course, he was also Experiment 221 in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Jess Harnell, the voice of Wacko Warner in Animaniacs.
Yeah.
He also played a bunch of the creatures in Scooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. He was both Dr. Finkelstein and Locke in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and just did additional voices in Kingdom Hearts 3. And you remember our good buddy I just mentioned a minute ago, J.P. Manow, who played Scrappy Rex?
Yeah.
He was Randall Boggs in Kingdom Hearts 3. The villain of Monsters Incorporated.
Oh.
When he makes his reappearance in Kingdom Hearts 3, he's voiced by J.P. Manow.
Oh, okay.
Also, he was additional voices in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So,
that's a lot of good connections.
Yes. So, what do we got in info and stuff?
All right, info and stuff. Let me get to that.
Oh, yes. And Josh Adams did remind me that Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar are married.
Yes, they are. They still are married.
Exactly. So, yeah, Fred actually married Daphne.
Yeah, they did.
It took forever for it to happen, but it happened.
Yeah.
Which is why they're great as villains in Star Wars Rebels. Or not as villains, as rivals.
That true. Do you know where they actually met?
I'm assuming on Buffy?
No, not Buffy.
I have no idea. I assume it's before this movie.
Yeah, I know what you did last summer. They were both...
Good, because I don't remember what I did last summer.
The movie.
Okay.
Yes, the movie. I watched it. It's an interesting film. Because I remember they met on that film, on the shooting of the film.
Okay.
So...
That's cool.
Info and stuff on that.
Yes.
All right, so on to info and stuff. So if you are a subscriber to HBO Max, you'll be able to watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else Scooby related.
Pretty much.
Right. And it is $3.99 on all digital platforms, like anywhere. If you need to purchase it, it'd be like it's rent it at least. It's $3.99. All right, so on IMDb, and apparently critics were not kind of this film at all.
No.
You think?
Really?
No.
Never would have guessed.
All right, so on IMDb, it has a 5.1 out of 10. It's middle.
Well, at least it's above the halfway part.
That is
point.
True. Rotten Tomatoes was worse.
Ooh.
Yeah, it had a 30% score for Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that's not the worst score I've ever seen.
No, I've seen worse. And its audience.
I've seen worse for movies I liked.
True, and a 38% for its audience score.
That's still not bad.
No, and for a new one I found, which I think I'm going to start using from now on, is from Letterboxd. Which is a app for movie geeks like us, or anybody who likes movies. You can go on and be part of a bigger community of movie nerds who just want to hang out and discuss films.
True, and we are both on there.
Yes, for both podcasts.
Yes,
and
we have to be very careful because both of us want to post reviews on there.
Yes,
but we can't. At least till the movie in question comes out.
Yes.
The episode is out.
Yes.
So anyway,
all right. So at IMDb, it has a 2.5 out of 5.
That's at least halfway.
Roughly, yes.
It is half.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is right at half.
It's right at half. It's just above it, just a little bit. Which I think this, that's a very good balance for this film.
Mm-hmm.
So production was Mosaic Media Group, Atlas Entertainment, distributed by Warner Brothers. Its release date was June 14th, 2002. The summer I graduated high school.
I was a sophomore.
Yeah. That was a very fun summer for me. That was the
summer I had to go to work at Brookshire's.
Oh, fun.
No, it wasn't.
All right. So throwing a little more different details in here. Its country of origin was the United States and Australia.
Okay.
It was shot both in the United States and Australia.
I'm guessing the parts at the beginning was in the United States and Spooky Island was in Australia.
Most of it.
Makes the most sense to me.
Right, so filming locations was Oxenford and Queensland, Australia. Box office wise, it had an estimated budget of $84 million. That's a fairly good budget.
Yeah.
Its opening U.S. weekend was not bad. $54.1 million on June 16th, 2002. Its gross for the United States domestically was $153.2 million, and its worldwide gross was $275.6 million. it definitely made its money back.
Sounds like it.
That's why it got a sequel.
Yes.
So we're talking sequels. It got a sequel in 2004 as of Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed.
Mm-hmm.
A third movie was planned but canceled after the poor critic and financial results of the second film. In 2009 and 2010, two television prequels were made. Scooby-Doo, The Mystery Begins, and Scooby-Doo, The Curse of the Lake Monster aired on the Cartoon Network, respectively. A spin-off film called Daphne and Velma was released on May 22nd, 2018, and as of recently, the movie Scoob was released March 15th, 2002, and you can go back and watch that review.
You can watch original reactions from way back in April or May.
Yeah.
And then 4 episodes behind this one is when we did Scoob.
Yeah. So that is all info and stuff.
All right, let's get into the summary then. The members of Mystery Inc. solve the case of the Luna ghost. However, longtime friction among Fred Jones, a glory hog, Daphne Blake, who is fed up with being kidnapped at every mystery, and Velma Dinkley, who is never credited for our ideas, boils over and the gang breaks up, leaving Shaggy Rogers and his dog, Scooby-Doo, heartbroken and caring for the gang's van, the Mystery Machine. 2 years later, Shaggy and Scooby are invited to solve a mystery on Spooky Island, owned by Emil Mondavarius. At the airport, they are reunited with the rest of Mystery Inc. and learn that Fred has become a popular author. That's debatable. Velma works for NASA, and Daphne has undertaken martial arts to avoid kidnappers. Shaggy and Scooby unsuccessfully attempt to get Mystery Incorporated back together again, but the other 3 are still angry and refuse to work with each other. On the flight over, Shaggy falls in love with a girl named Mary Jane, who loves Scooby snacks like him, but is allergic to dogs. Upon arriving at the island, the gang meets Montavarius, who claims the visiting tourists have been brainwashed. Velma attends a ritualistic performance hosted by Nagu Twana and his henchman Zarkos, a famous luchador. Nagu claims the island was once ruled by ancient demons that have been plotting their revenge ever since. They were displaced by the resort. After a misunderstanding with the local voodoo priest, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby venture into the resort's ghost ride and meet Fred and Velma inside, where they split up to look for clues. Fred and Velma come across a school designed to educate inhuman creatures about human culture, and Daphne discovers a pyramid-shaped artifact known as the Daemon-Ritus. The gang flees, but an army of demons attacks, kidnapping Fred, Velma, Mondavarius, and other tourists, while Scooby, Shaggy, Daphne, and Mary Jane escape. The next day, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby learn that demons have possessed Fred, Velma, and the other tourists. Zarkos captures Daphne and steals the Daemon-Ritus. Shaggy and Scooby encounter Mary Jane, but Scooby realizes she is possessed as well. Shaggy begins to argue, but is interrupted when Scooby falls through a hole into an underground chamber. While searching for him, Shaggy discovers a vat of protoplasm containing the souls of those possessed. He frees his friend's souls, but Daphne and Fred's souls end up in each other's bodies. Velma discovers that sunlight destroys the demons. Shaggy steals back the Daemon-Ritus, which randomly switches his, Velma, Fred, and Daphne's souls until all end up in the correct bodies. They come across the voodoo priest, who explains that the demons, led by Mondavarius, will rule the world for the next 10,000 years if a pure soul is offered as a sacrifice during the ritual. Shaggy realizes the pure soul is Scooby, who unwittingly accepts to be the sacrifice. Fred, Daphne, and Velma decide to put their Luna Ghost mystery fight behind them in order to help Shaggy save Scooby. The gang plot to trap the demon cult, but it fails, and only Daphne escapes capture. Mondavarius steals Scooby's soul using the Daemon-Ritus. Shaggy pushes Mondavarius, causing Scooby's soul to be released. As Fred and Velma confront the defeated Mondavarius, they, Shaggy, Scooby, and Ngu discover that he is a robot controlled by Scooby's estranged nephew, Scrappy-Doo, who was abandoned by the gang years ago after he urinated on Daphne. Using the absorbed souls of the tourists, Scrappy transforms into a monster and tries to kill the gang. Daphne is attacked and captured by Zarkos again, but defeats him by kicking him into the ritual chamber. This frees the possessed souls, and the demons are exposed to a disco skull sunlight reflection and die. Shaggy rips the demon Ritus from Scrappy's body to free the rest and finds out that the real Mondavarius is being kept imprisoned in a small underground cell until they release him. The film ends as Scrappy, locked up in a small dog crate, Ingu and Zarkos, and all the evil minions are arrested, while the reunited gang promise to continue solving mysteries together. And of course, it does end with Scrappy saying, "And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling beep." Actually, the door just closes before he can beep, but still.
It's very much implied.
Oh, yeah, it's very much implied. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in with my first like.
Go for it.
And that is the fact that Scrappy-Doo is the villain. Here's the thing. You go into this expecting it just to be, let's face it, it's very obvious it's Mondavarius.
Yeah.
Or the person we think is Mondavarius from early on in this movie. But then the fact that it is a mask and it's actually the character every self-respecting human being hates.
Now,
I am being mean. I hate Scrappy-Doo.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
He is the most annoying character I think Hanna-Barbera ever made.
I agree. But at the same time, I guarantee...
Because I like Scooby-Dum better than I like Scrappy-Doo.
Oh, wow. That is true. Just for more than notice to be like, it's like, yes, there are a lot of people who hate Scrappy-Doo, but I guarantee there are some people who just absolutely love the character.
But even if you love the character, I think the use of Scrappy-Doo being the villain is a bit of a stroke of genius, because if you hate him, yay, you get to see him get locked up at the end. If you like him, well, you get to see him be successful for at least a couple minutes.
Right.
Even though he's turned into the one thing he hates.
Right.
But, anyway.
Yeah.
The thing is, I hate the character Scrappy-Doo. I've always hated him because he's an annoying little thing. I've always hated that catchphrase of his, puppy power. Puppy power! And they go into such a good job with this, with explaining why Scrappy-Doo was not been around them anymore.
Uh-huh.
And even throwing in the fact that they're from Coolsville, which is like, that's great continuity. That's at least a great callback to Pup Named Scooby-Doo.
Unlike Scoob.
Yes. We go listen to that for our opinions on that.
Yeah.
But the use of Scrappy-Doo as our villain, I think, is absolutely perfect.
Agreed. And they set it up so well.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Set it up so well.
Now, unfortunately, we say they set it up so well.
Yeah.
The fact is, we only get one scene about, nearly 2/3 of the way through the movie when they actually introduce the concept of Scrappy-Doo being in this movie. And the fact is, if you know anything... No, let me rephrase. If you have any suspicions about how movies are made, you kind of know that if they created a CG model character, that it's not just going to be used for one joke scene.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
So the fact when he does show up near the climax of the movie in this flashback, it does kind of give away he's the villain, and you know he's the villain before he shows up. Or at least you have a good suspicion he is.
Yeah.
I will admit, when I first saw it, I thought, okay, that's great. That's funny. That's why Scrappy-Doo doesn't hang out with the team. That's great. Okay, cool. And then about 5 minutes before, when Fred is trying to do the electric slide to keep his cover from being blown, around that time is when I remembered Scrappy-Doo is in this movie. Scrappy-Doo is going to somehow be the villain, and he's going to somehow be in Mr. Bean. Because I'm sorry, that's how I think of Rowan Atkinson as Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
In much the same way other people might see Heath Ledger as the Joker and only think of him as the Joker, or Wolverine. Hugh Jackman. I'd see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, apparently, like I do.
Yeah.
and only think of him in those ways. But yeah, it's just, I kind of knew it was coming which is not a bad thing because the way the movie's flowing, you don't care that you know this is the guy.
Yeah.
The only bad part is it doesn't follow the flow of a normal Scooby-Doo mystery. But of course, by that point, we're not in a normal Scooby-Doo mystery. It's very obvious we're in another one of those, this time, the monsters are real episodes.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
So, ever since you brought that up, that is actually my number 3. So, I'm going to bring up my number 3 to follow your at number 1.
Okay.
Okay. So, this was a brilliant stroke of writing on James Gunn's part and the other writer of this film. Just pure genius when it came to it. And they set it up so well. They give you these small little hints throughout the film that Montevideo isn't what he's proclaiming to be.
True.
And the one clue, because I remember watching it, me and Sherry are sitting there, her arm wrapped around mine. So we're sitting there, and Montevideo says this little number. There's a little scratch. And I'm like, wait a minute. And so I lean over and be like, did you see that? It's like, yeah. It's like, that's probably a good clue to our villain. That's probably, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, it'd be like, I just kept thinking that she said it'd be like she said it, I think, remember correctly. It's gotta be Scrappy. It's gotta be Scrappy because, like, that's a dog thing. What other Scooby-Doo character would that be? So it's like, okay.
Scooby-Dum.
I didn't think about Scooby-Dum, but
I'm sorry.
It's
just that, obviously, the first thing is Scrappy, but you just asked, who else would it be? Well, there was a third dog.
But, yeah, there was a lot of dogs, actually.
Yeah, but mainly the next one that comes to mind is Scooby-Dum.
Either way, just the...
Don't get mad at me. Get mad at Hanna-Barbera for voicing the character that way. I'm just doing my impression of him.
But, oh my word, just how... They layer all these little clues throughout it. The fact that like you have Montevideo, how he behaves, and like how he knows certain things about dogs, how he knows about Scooby-Doo so intimately, and then
the whole gang for that matter.
Yeah, and the whole game together. Be like, why would he bring Mr. Ink to this little island? It makes no sense. Be like, yeah, they solve mysteries, but they're broken up. It's like, okay,
well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, it's a good clue. I mean, like, it's a very nice little clues, like a good mystery. And so, and then you get the flashback to the incident in the van. And it's like, oh, okay. And so at that point, we both look at each other, Scrappy. Scrappy's the villain. And sure enough, be like, Montevideo gets knocked out. Oh, it's a mask. Nope, it's just Scrappy. And
well, I mean, it was a mask.
Well, it was a mask.
It was just over animatronic head.
Animatronic head with a little puppy dog in it.
Yeah.
Which is very good point they bring up. Why does Scrappy-Doo never age?
He's got a pituitary gland issue.
Yes. But yeah.
Well, I mean, for that matter, Scooby doesn't age either.
No, he doesn't. But hey.
But he's a cartoon.
Yeah, he's a cartoon. But
Shaggy doesn't age. Daphne doesn't age. Velma doesn't age. Fred doesn't age. More on my problems with Fred, though. If you've listened to Scooby, I bet you can guess.
But other than that, I love the mystery of who's the villain. But obviously, you'd be like, if you're really paying attention to the film, you know who the villain is. But other than that, I love the mystery of who the villain is and Scrappy-Doo. So,
yes.
What is your number? Dose.
My number 2 is going to have to be the fact that they actually tried to follow the cartoon logic.
Yes.
In many instances.
Agreed.
You get the fact that they all, with the exception of the 2-year gap, once they have a costume, they stay in that costume for the entire movie, even when it would make sense for them to have changed clothes. No, they're still wearing the same costume.
Right.
You get the fact that many cartoon antics make their way through this on not just Scooby, who would be the one you would expect, but all of the entire Scooby gang has instances where they do little different things. My favorite is when Daphne takes at right after they're getting ready for that Luna ghost complaint, and Daphne takes off Velma's glasses, and she immediately gets on the ground on all fours to look for them, much like she would in the show.
Yeah,
it's a stupid visual joke, but yes, like
it's so good.
It's like, yeah, no, that's what would happen every time. The only thing we're not seeing is weird 2-frame dancing that the show did all the time also. Right. But I mean,
hey, we do get the electric slide.
We do get the electric slide, but it's not. The dancing is more realistic when it shows up in this movie. You do get a lot of great plot, silly cartoon things like, oh, Scooby, there's a big bag of hamburgers out in the forest. You just got to go out there by yourself in the dark where no one can see you. And that's what they say.
Okay.
It's like, okay, I'll do that. And he runs off and goes, it's like, Scooby, I know you're hungry, but I think you're a smarter dog than this.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, hunger is hunger. I mean, for crying out loud, they do give him a realistic bark when he sees the cat.
Yeah, that's true.
When he's grandma.
Yeah, I love that. I love that scene. So good.
I do have a question, though, and this is not a dislike, but why does Spooky Island have its own 747 that lands obviously somewhere, but not at the island? Because they get off a boat.
Yeah, that's true.
When they get to the island, but they were flying in a 747.
Well,
where did the plane land for them to get on the ferry?
Well, it's like Jurassic Park and
they had a helicopter pad that they landed on in Jurassic Park. This one, in one scene you're on a plane, and in the next scene you're on a boat.
That is true.
I'm not saying they needed to show one for the other, but there's a logistical thought in my mind going,
right.
Where did the plane land and where did they get on the boat? And if that's the case, this is all crazy. And how this is. I'm guessing that the Spooky Island is in the Bahamas somewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe the plane, while it is chartered and owned by Spooky Island Amusement Park, maybe it landed at a local airport and from there you got on the ferry. Yeah. But like I said, there's a reason it's not a dislike. It's just a weird question that crops in my mind.
Yeah. When I think that, I think Jurassic World, because our characters do get on a plane and they arrive at
Island Nueva.
Yeah, Island Nueva.
I think that's the name of it.
Yeah, they arrive by boat in the exact same, like in the same manner. Be like you get on a boat, you get on a plane, you get off that plane, you get on a boat and arrive on the island.
Which is fine. I get that. It's just weird in the transition.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I didn't think of it when I was watching the movies. That's why it's not a negative.
Right.
It's something that just came to mind after the fact.
Right. Yeah, I've always think of it in a way that it's like, okay, so going to Germany several years ago,
the
plane is a transformer. Okay, Josh. I think of it this way. Okay, so you if you're going to Germany, so you take a flight from Dallas, you take it to...
Well, I mean, we would,
obviously. You would take a flight to Germany and then take that flight to Hanover. You take that to Hanover. And then you would take a smaller plane, take an hour flight to another town, and then you would take another bus ride for another hour.
I get this.
Yeah, be like yeah, it'd be great if there was an airstrip on a Spooky Island, but
it was just the weirdness comes not in the fact that they were on a plane and then they were on a boat.
Right.
It's that they were on a plane that was its livery was specifically for Spooky Island.
Yeah.
And they apparently couldn't land any closer than the next island over.
Yeah.
So they had to get on a ferry to come over to this island. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It makes a certain amount of sense.
Right.
At the same time, and plus that makes it a good closed room mystery, in essence. Mm-hmm. So I could live with this. It's just there's this part of me in my mind that goes, maybe you didn't need the scenes on the plane. You could have had him meet Mary Jane elsewhere and run into the gang as they're getting off the boat, or maybe film the scenes of him meeting the gang in the boat, or maybe at the dock to get on the boat. I don't know. It's just the weird thing that crosses my mind. Like I said, not a dislike. Let's get back to likes.
Right.
My second like is I already just gave my second like was the cartoons.
Yes.
Cartooniness. What is your second like?
Okay, so my second like would actually be my first like. The performance. And let me get to my notes. All right, would be Matthew Lillard and Neil Fanning.
Mm-hmm.
Fanning. Oh my! The fact that we like Matthew Lillard was almost born to be Shaggy.
Yeah.
The fact that now be like he is the voice behind Shaggy on the cartoons and the movies and all that, minus Scoob, which you can.
Well, Neil's not Scooby in Scoob either, but then they were changing that role up long before that movie came out.
That is true, but the fact be like, I think it was in one part of the trivia, the fact that like Matthew Lillard would get his voice so hoarse. Be like, to get the Shaggy voice, he would rip his voice apart in order to get the voice of Shaggy.
Okay, then.
And the fact to be like, originally he's supposed to be an actual stoner who smoked marijuana.
Well, I mean, his girlfriend is named Mary Jane.
That is true,
and she does appear to have the munchies.
Yeah, that is true. They do like Scooby snacks.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, the screenwriter James Gunn, apparently I think it was like the 15th anniversary of this film, actually stated on his Twitter account that there actually is a rated R version of this film.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't want to know.
Yeah,
they must just be really explicit with the marijuana jokes.
Yeah, apparently. And apparently there was a lot more. They use a lot of CGI to cover up a few things.
With a couple of those scenes, I can see this.
Yeah,
especially when Fred is in Daphne's body.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, just his performance was amazing, and then you just simply get to Neil Fanning's performance as Scooby. I loved it so much, but like that's where I got my Scooby voice. Was Ray, because he did everything in ours.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, right, Ray, really, right? Just it was so perfect. I loved his performance as Scooby, and it was a breath of fresh air because I remember watching Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, and I was like, okay, that's an okay of a Scooby voice, but then I hear this is like, this is Scooby. This is how Scooby should sound, because he sounds more like the original Scooby.
Which is great when you consider that the voice of the Scooby in Scooby-Doo is actually in this movie. It's just as a different character and higher pitched.
That is true. That is so true. So yeah, I'll just mad props to these two, actor and voice actor. Well, technically, Fanning is an actor, but
yeah,
he's primarily known for his voice of Scooby-Doo.
Pretty much.
And I thoroughly enjoyed those performances. And I wish we got more of them. Besides the animation, we got more live action movies of those two as their respected characters. That is my number one. So what would be your number
three?
This
sounds like we're in a really weird order.
We are.
But I like the very beginning of this movie when we are in the middle of a classic Scooby-Doo climax.
Yes.
Because from the moment we see Velma talking on the walkie, actually, it's when we see Daphne's been captured by the ghost
again, which
I have questions about that later. But anyway, and admittedly, it's just because I've not watched a whole lot of classic Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
From the moment we see Daphne's caught by the Luna ghost until we get the whole I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids, and then Scooby's obvious laugh as the episode would have ended.
Yeah.
That from that point to that point, it's like, it's like this is the ending of a Scooby-Doo
Exactly.
Scooby-Doo episode, and it's perfect. It's done exactly. In fact, more of like a Scooby-Doo movie, since we do have a special guest
Yeah.
who showed up for this one and driving the Mystery Machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that line of Pamela says, the Mystery Incorporated gang is a boon to anybody who to any celebrity who wishes to sell their own action figures. Like, yeah, that is about that strange.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what was in those movies.
Yeah, in the TV show.
Yes, in the Scooby-Doo movies, you had to find a decent reason to get Don Knotts.
Yeah.
And Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
In the same series as guests.
Yes.
And also,
they're still doing it.
Also randomly 6 episodes with the Harlem Globetrotters.
Of course.
I've never understood why they did 6 separate episodes with the Harlem Globetrotters.
Wow.
But they did. Yeah. At least it seemed like it was 6 episodes. It might have just been 2 or 3, but it came on all the stinking time when we first got Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Go ahead. Oddly enough, when I was a kid, I actually watched the Harlem Globetrotters play. Yeah, it was, oh my gosh, funnest game I've ever watched. So that was just a little bit of when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I watched it as a kid.
But I mean, it's the fact that we do get this classic style mystery, and of course it's Old Man Smithers.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting for just to quote an episode that came out this week. You're kind of expecting it to be a real estate land grab.
Yeah.
Even though there are easier ways to do that. Hopefully that episode will be out before this one.
Yeah. Go check out the
Scooby Natural.
Yeah.
Scooby Natural, that episode. That should be coming out. This should be coming out before this one comes out on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, that's just how I can't even finish my sentence. I like how we get that little bit of classic tie-in to get us started off before we decide let's mess everything up.
Okay.
Both in good ways and bad ways. But anyway.
Okay.
Your second light.
My second light, it's so goofy. Or it's so silly, goofy, and sometimes bad. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of this movie, it'd be like, yeah, it has so much silliness and goofiness. I read one reviewer that said it was just be like, get ready to turn your brain off kind of film.
Mm-hmm.
And to an extent, I do agree with it in a way, but at the exact same time, be like you're dealing with an adaptation of a Scooby-Doo cartoon brought into the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you are going to have those silly pratfalls and silly jokes and just like odd things like that. But at the same time, that's what makes it work. Like all the silliness and the goofiness and the almost the dumbfoundery of the film just makes it just cheesy goodness to me. I love that about this film. And as most people know, I'm not a huge comedy fan. I never have been. But when it comes down to when you get certain different elements within a film and you have those goofy, silly elements with it, it makes it a good film. Now, if you're primarily basing it on the goofy, silly moments, and that's all you're doing, to me, it's not a good film. But when you're applying it to other aspects or elements within a film, it makes it good. And that's why I think Scooby-Doo, the movie, is a really good movie.
Okay.
With all of its goofies and silliness and just stupidity in some ways. A really good film.
Okay.
So that's my number 2. You're through number 3. So let's get into our dislikes.
Yes. My first dislike. This is going to be the big one.
Okay.
My dislike is the fact of how do I explain this in a way that makes sense?
Okay.
This is a stupid movie.
Agreed.
And here's the thing. I love stupid movies as much as the next guy. I enjoy Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Riff Tracks. So anytime my brain starts to go, this is such a stupid movie. I wish they wouldn't do this sort of thing.
Mhm.
I start getting two little robots in the back of my head making fun of it. So yeah, I mean, this movie there is a lot of thought put into this.
Yes.
Do not get me wrong. But there's also a lot of, we're now going to make this because this is a kid's movie.
Mhm.
We're going to make a stupid joke that you don't normally get to make in kids movies, but because it's PG-13? Or is it PG?
Yeah, PG-13.
PG-13. We're going to have this little other real joke in there because we know adults are watching this too. And, yes, it is, as much as I like the fact that this feels kind of like a Scooby-Doo cartoon, the story is lacking. The mystery is ruined halfway through the movie. And unlike Scoob, where you quickly realize the mystery's not the important part of the story,
Right.
in this one, the mystery is still important.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Because it's not that they made the mystery too easy to figure out.
Right.
It's they pretty much tell you as soon as the villain comes on screen that he's the villain. And this happens twice.
Yeah, agree.
Because it happens when Mondavarius shows up because you're looking at him going, you're the villain. And then it happens again during the flashback scene with Scrappy-Doo and you're going, Scrappy-Doo's the villain. And they give this away. It's not subtle. Yeah. I like a little subtlety in my movies because I want to be able to look at that and go, is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is? Or usually how it usually goes, oh, this is going to be good. And the people around me are going, what's going to be good? Oh, that's what's going to be good. Because I'm the weirdo who cackles about 5 minutes in a movie before he's supposed to, because I recognize what's about to happen.
So, Frozen.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This movie, I don't do that. Because an hour ago, I figured out what was going to happen. And then, compounding this, and really, this is just a preview of my number 2 dislike.
Okay.
The jokes aren't funny.
Okay.
But we'll get to that when I get to my number 2 dislike. So what is your number 1 dislike?
Okay. So to, bounce up your dislike versus like the fact to be like, all what you said is correct.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's what makes it cheesy. It makes it cheesy, funny, but
I'm not saying it's not cheesy. I'm just saying the cheese has mold on it.
I agree. But
if the cheese has mold on it, then I would prefer not to eat it.
Okay. I totally get you. Totally get you. All right. So my number 1 dislike, the CG in this movie did not hold up well.
I would agree with you on the dog creatures.
Yeah, the dog creatures. That's what I'm referring to.
Scooby and Scrappy, with the exception of Scrappy Rex, they at least kind of settle into that art style, so you forgive it, sort of thing.
Yeah,
the dog creatures and Scrappy Rex, look so. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like that's the thing, is they don't have fur.
Yeah.
And that's part of the issue, which is crazy when you consider this movie was 2002.
Yeah.
Which was near the same year I think Monsters Incorporated came out. So they were doing so much good with hair, and I guess they did good hair with here, but it's strange how the hair seems to cover up any problems with the models.
Yeah. So,
which is the problem here, is because both the models are bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I agree with you on that. The fact to be like they did such an amazing job with Scooby and Scrappy. Be like the design wise, creative, how motion wise, everything about it, how these characters are designed. It looks like they focus so much on those, they kind of let all the other CG characters kind of lack.
Yeah. Not just that, but the effect for the protoplasm heads.
Oh, that was terrible.
It's bad.
It was bad.
I mean, there is some CG to it,
Yeah.
Especially the first time we see Velma's head in the protoplasm. But it's almost like they layered that on top of filming of the actors' heads, and it does not hold up.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
But anyway.
Yeah, so that's one of my problems is that you have some of the CG it still holds up very well.
Mm-hmm.
Others not so much. And it's so glaringly a problem that it's an eyesore.
Okay.
All right, so what is your number dos?
Well, as I said a minute ago, the jokes are not funny.
Okay. I agree with you.
A lot of the jokes are not funny, and I don't just mean they didn't land.
Yeah.
I'm saying they landed pretty well. It's just you get a whole scene of fart jokes.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, fart jokes can be funny.
Agree.
But here they come like they are just obnoxious in your face. You can tell it's there to make the kids laugh.
Oh yeah.
Which that's funny and all, but it's like the thing is the movie, as I said earlier, the movie lacks subtlety.
Yeah.
In droves.
Mm-hmm.
And because it lacks subtlety, the comedic moments such as the fart joke scene, the fact that the Shaggy's love interest, his name is Mary Jane.
Yeah. Yeah, she's not a redhead named Mary Jane Watson though.
If they'd have gone that way, I could have maybe kept it with the Scooby-Doo, but no, this is very obvious it's a marijuana joke.
Yeah.
Plus, I have never liked the joke that everyone claims that the gang, or at least Shaggy, is a stoner, is a marijuana head. Mm. I'm not saying that he's not based on characters who are like that, but I've met people who are as sober as me and you are, who are that goofy. Yeah. And so it's like, you don't have to make the joke that he's just some guy who's had too much marijuana. You could just play it straight like everything else has.
Yeah.
Instead of going, oh, he smokes marijuana. Let's make the joke. Let's make the girlfriend he falls in love with her. Let's make her name Mary Jane. And she's got munchies and he's got munchies and they both like dog food, essentially. Don't get me wrong. I understand the fact that Shaggy eats Scooby snacks much like Scooby does. That's a joke you keep because that's been there from the beginning and it works. Why do you have to have the girl version of Shaggy be named Mary Jane?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Plus, you see the twist that she's been possessed early on. I'm not convinced she wasn't possessed before he met her on the plane.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, because she was out there with them.
It's way too much setup.
It's way too much setup. And those jokes are funny. The joke, like we said earlier, about Scooby going out into the thing to get a bag of hamburgers. I mean, that's funny. But at the same time, it's like when you pair it with everything else, it's just too much. And then you get my slight preview in problem number 3. Because the problem with a movie all the dislikes tie into each other. You get Fred. Now, I'm going to talk more about my dislikes with Fred.
Okay.
But like I said earlier, if you listen to Scoob, I bet you can guess what they are. But the scene where Fred and Daphne and Velma, for that matter, and Shaggy, their souls are in each other's bodies. Don't get me wrong, the acting is great in those scenes.
Yes.
But you've got the character of Fred being, trying to think of a nice PG way of saying this. Ladies' man is too nice of term.
Okay.
He's a little too, he's self-absorbed throughout this entire movie.
Just a bit.
But at the point when he's in Daphne's body and he gets that line, I could look at myself naked. And it's like, no, out of respect for Daphne, no.
Yeah, I
and this is coming from a guy who liked the movie Your Name, where this was a running gag.
Yeah.
This, I hate this joke. I hate the idea of him acting this way in Daphne's body. I think he acts this way in Velma's body too. Because by then she's been kind of sexified
Yeah.
after being possessed by the dog demon.
Yeah.
It's just, I look at it and I go, that was unnecessary.
Agreed.
And even in a comedy, your humor needs to tie in to your story. Now, there are some where the humor is the story. So that's why it's a series of skits. Mm-hmm. And then there's some where there is a story that the humor helps.
Yeah.
But this is that third type that never should exist. And that's where there's a story and there's humor and they happen to coexist in the same movie. Mm-hmm. And that's what I don't like. Okay. Because then the humor distracts from the story.
Okay.
Anyway, that's my second dislike with a preview of my third dislike. And when I get to talk about Fred here in a moment, what's your second dislike?
There's a lot of weak acting in this film. Like a lot of weak acting in this film.
I know you're about to explain it, but you could explain it as this is kind of how it was in the show.
Agreed.
But the show has an excuse of being 30 minutes long.
That is true. And you're expanding
and you only have 6 characters who have any sort of repetition.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, you have some bad acting. You have the fact you have the band Sugar Ray show up in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, don't get me wrong.
Who I don't even know.
Oh, wow.
That's why I didn't mention them in there.
Okay.
Because I remember seeing the word Sugar Ray on like 6 different people.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even know what that is. I'm not even going to look at it.
Yeah, Sugar Ray was a band back in the early 2000s. Which
apparently.
Yeah. They had some hits, but they really didn't last that long. They're in this film. Thankfully, they don't do a lot of acting, which is thankful.
Yeah.
Because most artists are not actors. But other than that, you have a lot of really like apart from your main cast, I think Freddie Prinze Jr. was probably the weakest out of all of them.
Yes.
Like acting wise.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've seen him in a lot more other stuff that he's a lot more diverse.
Oh yes. I would not use this movie as a guide as to how good an actor Freddie Prinze Jr. is.
No. But it's like he was probably the weakest of the main cast.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all the other supporting cast be like, it's okay. You'd be like, you hired all these really good actors and actresses, but you'd be like, you almost like skip lunch, be like you skip breakfast halfway through lunch to get like some not very good side actors. Like the voodoo guy. Yeah. I loved his performance.
He's barely in the movie.
But he's actually memorable.
Yeah.
Like everybody else is like, all they are is just shell puppets that just like walk around and be like, say something that has no depth or emotion behind it.
I mean, once they get possessed, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But the part where we're still learning about what's going on and you have these people who are not possessed, they're just party teenagers and they're the people who work there.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah. The one that brings out is the, almost the love interest for, Daphne.
Yes.
Yeah, for Daphne. I was like, ow, okay, dude. I understand. I don't know if this was his first role or not. He did okay, but it was still kind of just like a lot of the acting movie is not very well done. Let's just say that. So what is your number 3? And lay it on me.
Oh, I'll lay it on you. You just mentioned a second ago, the Freddie Prinze Jr.'s acting as Fred is pitiful, but I'm not going to blame that on Freddie Prinze Jr.
Right.
I'm blaming this on the writers, which
I agree.
Which means I do have to assume that at least some of this issue is with James Gunn, despite the fact I like him as a writer, especially with Guardians and such. Okay. But he has the same problem most writers have, or that the writers have the same problem here that most writers have with the character of Fred, and that's the fact that in the original show, he was the straight man with the plan.
Yeah.
That's all he was. He's the leader of the group. He's kind of a flat character from his inception because he needs to be. He's the foundation of the group. Sure, he's popular to some degree, but he's just also the leader of the group. He has the fact that his character is so plain is really why he fits into the group the way he does.
Yeah.
But ever since then, they've tried to characterize Fred to give him make him more interesting.
Yeah,
is what it comes down to. The only one I've ever been happy with is Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, where he's the cameraman, he's the tech guy, he knows how to get out there. He's charismatic enough he can go out and talk to people, but he's also, it explains why he's a little bit awkward and a little bit flat, because he's focused on about 500 other things, like any tech person would be.
Been there.
And then in Scoob, yes, they make him in love with the van for no good reason. But at least he's still got a lot of that. Then you get to here, where the character Fred is got an ego, and he's very up on himself. We see that he's a little bit of a perv, and he's about as dense. I would say he's stupider than Shaggy is.
Oh, okay.
No, let's not say stupider. That's not really the case, because none of the characters really are stupid.
Yeah.
He's denser than Shaggy is.
Oh, okay.
Shaggy is...
Agreed.
Shaggy is dense because he's got one goal, and that is let's eat food, let's hang out with Scooby, and let's all run away from the ghosts, who are obviously not real.
Right.
Until they are real.
Yeah.
Fred, his goal, as far as I can see, is to be Fred. And to be in everyone's face, and to be the most popular guy in the room, be the life of the party, and not be aware of what anyone else thinks of him. Which is not the Fred you see anywhere else.
Okay.
And the fact is, while other characters are still a little bit off of what I would consider their classic characters, such as the fact that I don't remember. I know Daphne got caught a lot, but I never saw her as the damsel in distress. Like, that's all she does is get caught. Yeah. And they act. Almost a caricature of that. I know, but that's the thing. Nothing needs to be a caricature in this movie, because it's not a caricature in the shows. Right. These are their characters. You play them straight. They didn't play them straight. They made jokes out of who they are. Yeah. That's great for some people, I suppose. Yeah. But to me, if you have something as ridiculous that you're going to do in live action as Scooby-Doo, which, let's face it, much like the 1960s Batman, is ridiculous. Agreed. That you are now trying to put in a 3-dimensional live action environment, that you're going to have actors actually try and act like this. Yeah. The way you do it, much like the Batman show does, is you play it straight. You act like what's happening is not strange. It's not funny. It's not that wink at the camera. Oh, isn't this funny? Yeah. Shaggy has a girlfriend named Mary Jane. You don't play that's the easiest one I can pull. That joke you can probably leave, but you don't get this Freddy, because he wears an ascot and has got blonde hair and is a bit preppy, is obviously going to be as dense as a sack of hammers and only concerned with himself. Velma is going to be the nerd who knows everything and is annoyed that no one believes in her contributions. Yeah. Daphne is the princess who's got to be saved. Yeah. And Shaggy's a stoner, essentially. Yeah. And Scooby's the only character they actually give anything about, and because they actually do Scooby right in this movie, where he says relatively little in comparison to everybody else, you don't get much character out of him outside of the acting of the character model. Yeah. Because they focus so much on the character, and Fred is the worst version of this, which is why I point him out specifically, it makes the movie shallower than it needs to be. Okay. I'm not, no, don't get me wrong. I don't go into a Scooby-Doo thing expecting something along the lines of Academy Award winning thought piece. I'm not expecting a Christopher Nolan film out of this. I am expecting something, say, along the lines of Adventures of Tintin.
Okay.
We don't get anywhere near this.
Agreed.
And like I said, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is still my favorite out of the mystery Scooby-Doo movies. I have to say it that way because Scoob's its own thing. But yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my third dislike. What is your third dislike?
Okay, so I'm gonna go at your third a little bit. The way you described Fred,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that he is very about self. He's very
the book he's written is Fred on Fred.
Yeah, which is
that he reads on the plane.
Yeah.
He's a bit narcissistic. That's the problem. Fred is not supposed to be narcissistic.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go to defense on that.
Go ahead. I mean, this is all opinion anyway.
Okay, so the idea is what I've discerned from this film is the fact to be like mystery has been around for a very, very long time.
Yes,
and so the fact that Fred has become so self-absorbed because be like they've gotten so much attention, they are getting celebrities, and the fact that you have Fred has now become consumed with all the fame and celebrity that he's become self-absorbed. He's become a bit of a prat.
I don't think this movie is as dense as deep as you're making it sound.
Well, I'm trying to give a defense to it.
I know. It's just I get the feeling that outside of the growing disagreement between Fred, Daphne, and Velma, that these are who these characters have been in this universe since they met.
I would say,
but that's just that's just how it appears to me.
I would say that in a way. It's just like the fact that Fred be like he's gotten too much. His head has gotten too big for his shoulders, and now he thinks he's all this and all this. That be like when we first meet him, be like he's all like everything. He's like himself in the mirror and all this jazz.
Right, that's who he is.
Yeah, that's who he is. But that's who he's become. That's who he's become. So the way I see it, when we started, before the movie and before all this transpired, he was more like the Fred before.
I think you're giving the movie too much credit.
I might be.
Because the way this reads to me, I mean, the flashback scene with Scrappy, when we meet Scrappy, they are essentially the same characters.
In a way.
They did not change their acting performance to make them seem like we're just a bunch of kids driving a van, having fun, solving mysteries, and we've got this dog that's going to pee on the girl. Yeah, which is also a joke. It's funny, but it's like completely unnecessary and not subtle. And I like subtlety. Yeah, but at the same time, you have the fact to be like Fred does that redemption at the very end of the film. He does, but it's
where he does give Daphne the credit is due to where he no longer focuses on himself, but he's giving the team the credit they need.
He does. I'll grant you he does, but but at the same time, these characters had almost no character growth. So that's almost, yes, he does it. And I'll agree with you that he does redeem himself in that way, but I don't know. It seems like, well, I should do this because that's what I'm expected to do kind of a thing. It's just, I don't think they give the character enough. They still just didn't do this character justice the way I think the character should be done. Is what it comes down to. I'm giving my examples as to why he's not doing the character justice. And like I said, I do not blame Freddie Prinze Jr. on this. I blame it on the writers.
Agreed.
But yeah,
it's kind of like Anakin Skywalker and Hayden Christensen from Star Wars, and how he was directed by George Lucas to act.
And written by George Lucas.
Written by George Lucas, so that's why you have that. So
George Lucas needed somebody to say, you might want to tweak that. Yeah, that's what he needed.
Maybe just a little bit, but I do see that. I do see the fact to be like this character, the way Freddie Prinze Jr. portrayed the character is the way the character is written, and
he did a good job acting. That's not like I said. The acting was not the issue.
Yeah,
it's they wrote a version of Fred that is, it's not a version of Fred I like.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the way I see it, the way I see the way they've written Fred. Now, I agree with you on that.
Okay.
The way I see it is
I'm afraid we're going in circles here.
We are. Yeah, so I think we agree to disagree with this.
Yeah, we're going to agree to disagree.
Yeah, with this either way. So that was your number 3.
Yes.
Okay,
what is your number
my
3?
Number 3? My number 3. Okay. Oh wow, I really didn't think about a number 3. I didn't. Honestly, I didn't.
Well, in your defense, mine flowed.
Yes, yours
from
flowed.
One to another.
It did. You really thought out everything else. And,
well,
I applaud you for that. It was really good.
You're let's just be honest. I'm not rating this movie very high.
I can imagine. But there again, we can agree to disagree on that. Yes. That's the wonderful thing about,
it's all opinions, people.
Exactly. It's all opinions. And I really don't have a third.
We are not the presidential candidates. At the end of this movie, we will still be happy with each other.
Exactly. It's just a review.
Yes. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, exactly. Either way, so I don't have a third. Maybe if I had a little more time and watched the movie more and really deep dived into it, I probably could pick out something. But right now, don't.
Okay.
All right.
So let's get into our ratings for this movie. I'm giving it a 4.5.
Oh, burns!
There are things I like about the movie, which is why it's not rated any lower.
Wow. Okay.
But this is not a movie that I enjoy parts of it, right. But for the most part, this is the kind of movie I really would like to see a riff tracks of.
Okay.
Because I can see there's a lot of this to make fun of.
Right.
And I'm sure some kids can like this movie. But for me personally, no.
Okay,
this is
so we're way out here on this one.
What the question in my mind is when we eventually get around to Monsters Unleashed, how much will I hate that movie? So yeah, I'm giving this 4.5 because literally I can call it a movie. I can say it does some things well, but for the most part, this is not the kind of thing I want to rewatch.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting.
Why? What are you about to give it, a 9?
No, not a 9. I'm going to give it 8.
Okay.
Well, the simple fact I have such nostalgia.
Well, that's fair. Nostalgia is an
emotional attachment to this film. I enjoy it for all its flaws. Like I said before, it's so silly and goofy and sometimes dumber than a brick. That it's good. So to me, Scooby-Doo is not the perfect film. It's not. It has its flaws. It has its. I like the idea. You have to me, I see character development in a lot of characters and what have you. Now, granted, it's the goggles on me.
I personally think you're reading a lot into the movie.
I do.
But you know what?
Probably am.
Here's the thing about nostalgia, because I'm guilty of nostalgic likes also. I mean,
for
crying out loud, I watch Power Rangers.
True.
But the thing with nostalgia is in terms of enjoyment, you cannot discount the presence of nostalgia.
Agreed.
Nostalgia can gloss over a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
And
you can find all those little nuggets that are found in the garbage.
The problem with nostalgia is when you don't have it, and a movie is almost dependent upon it.
Yeah,
like this one can be.
Right.
That's when you just see every single little piece of filth. Yeah, you see more rough than you see diamond.
I got you.
That's all I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. So it's also inverted with us. It's more you see the roughs. I see the diamond. You see more of the roughs.
Yes, because I have no nostalgia. Of the classic cartoons, Scooby-Doo is the one I probably have the least nostalgia for.
Okay.
Of the ones I watched regularly.
Understood.
Not because I didn't like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
It's just because at that age, I was not a big mystery person. And Scooby-Doo was everywhere, and everyone liked Scooby-Doo, and it was like, can we watch something besides Scooby-Doo, please?
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, that brings us to the end of another episode, which also brings us to the end of Halloween month.
Yes.
Next month is Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki month.
Yes.
And we're starting with Kiki's Delivery Service. Next week. Yes, that's the movie. This is ironically a movie about a witch.
Yeah. On a broom.
So it's a nice transition.
Yes, it is.
Unlike where we just went from Scoob and ended with Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
For October, even though we did not really plan it that way. It just was nice and worked out that way. So yeah, join us next time for Kiki's Delivery Service. Also, this coming month, we'll also be doing in Only Yesterday, Porco Rosso, and Ocean Waves is our 4 movies for November. So
excellent. A lot of those films I have not seen.
Then you should be able to get your 100 movie list going. Bam. So there you go. So yeah, join us next time for Kiki, and we'll see you then.
All right. Happy Halloween.
Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
They can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron and Jacob's Daily Art Corner, my personal art Facebook page. On Twitter at Jacob B. Heron, on Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, and on Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. Where can they find you, Drew?
You can find me on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. You can also find my Facebook page at Drew's Photo Bin, where I upload my photography. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759 and Twitter at GGeorge759. Where can they find us, Jacob?
You can also visit our website, thecellcast.podbean.com, where you will find every episode we released and links to listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. Our RSS feed, if we aren't in your favorite podcast app directory, please share, review, and subscribe to us there and share us with your friends.
You will also find a link to our Facebook group, the Double Feature Podcast Community, where we talk about both animated and live-action movies. We share this with our other podcasts, which we do with Jacob's brother Jim, at the Movie of the Week podcast, where we talk about live-action movies. You can also email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Also, please like our page on Facebook. We try to post about upcoming movies. If you comment on that movie's post before we record, we'll read your comments in the episode. And remember, every time we say The Cellcast, that is with a single L.